Hello, this is Walter Bradley. We're 3 weeks, well, a little more than 3 weeks, 24 days, I think, till July 13th, Saturday, when many will go to, well, if you haven't heard of it, a little place in Monterey called Bohemian Grove, on Bohemian Grove Way. It's a private club that's truly located in San Francisco, but for about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, in July, the whole world, or some of the great leaders and powers and notables of the world, the elite, if you would want to say, bankers, maybe a few actors, actresses, those in the music business, in the music industry, artists, and those names that maybe you don't always hear of, but who are great influencers in their particular line of work or art. And then the power goes there, the money, the rulers and government officials. They all get together and have a private meeting, and then they do some strange things, though, which is come before a great owl and make a sacrifice, a cremation of care. It's explained in different ways. But anyway, Greg Fernandez is going to go with a few and question and maybe protest a little bit and wonder what it's about. Nobody has ever come out of the Grove or out of Bohemian Grove Club in San Francisco to talk or deal with. Not that they have to, not that they would want to, but might be a good advantage for them to do so. But they don't. And when you hear that things like the Manhattan Project of World War II, of the atom bomb, the hydrogen bomb, which eventually came from that, and, when you have those geothermal, the nuclear and then a type of fusion, you're getting into the higher echelon of government. Because it takes money, time, and great minds to put this together. And there are many great minds in Bohemian Grove. And unfortunately, many, if not all, have either turned away from the truth of the word, or they do believe it and are working within. Nothing wrong with it. But we have to understand that we must have continuity. And in a private club, it's private. You don't expect to hear anything from them. And so we haven't. But many have been in it, like Ronald Reagan. Jack London was invited. I don't know if he ever joined and became a member. But many people, Henry Kissinger, Richard Nixon, okay, that's just naming a few. And these were presidents and people in high government in the United States. What is the draw of Bohemian Grove? Well, one, extreme privacy and protection from the outsiders who are not in your group. Okay, I do that. And is it wrong? No. Well, they get together and have hijinks. Well, what are hijinks? Their hijinks, I don't know. But they do have ceremonies in which they are dressed appropriately for their little celebration. But the thing is, the owl and all represents something. Represents a deity of Molech, truly. And if they are following in that line, as is suspected, causing your children to pass through the fire or go in the ways of Molech or leading them that way, which in essence is just leading them to follow Hashatan, or Satan as they are called in the West, and following the way of the world, the broad path. This is not a good thing. But each has to fight that battle. But when there are those that lead into a path that leads to destruction, you need to stand. Now, we have seen that they do have ceremonies before the owl, before an image or an idol, possibly, in the grove that they pay homage to, which is a form of worship. And we know that there is no worship but unto one, the one who is I am, the Father. I am that I am. Yahweh. Yarevave. So, what do they do that they feel that they must turn against him? Well, it's because there are two powers in this world today. There is the wealth and power, and then there is the Father, who is the creator of such. And I would say many, if not all, of those in Bohemian Grove have turned away or are not part, or are part of the Father and are working within to share what they will, if they are there. So, on July 13th, many are going to protest who are believers and who are activists. Not all are believers, but many believers do go, meaning believers in the Most High Creator and His Word, the Bible. And there are others who believe in good and see the harm that's possibly, and I say possibly, that's coming from the grove. Doesn't mean that it is or isn't, but we must see and find the links if there are any. Did George W. Bush decide on weapons of mass destruction and to go against Iraq at the Grove? Did this come up? Did the end of the World Trade Centers come up at the Grove in secret clandestine meetings between those who are part of such things? Because not everybody in the Grove is part of such things. But we understand that it is a very exclusive club, and it takes a lot of money to be part of. And when you get to that, and it's a hidden club, like John F. Kennedy said, it is repugnant that hidden societies, clubs, or any domain anywhere exercises itself against the people of the United States and the free and good governance of them by able-bodied and good statesmen. However, in this current market of rulership in Congress and in the executive branch and the judicial branch, since really the 60s and 70s, the evidence of breaking is very evident, very, very known and seen. The 1973 decision, against the will of the people, most likely, because not everybody wanted that. In fact, it was generally a shock to hear that they authorized abortion. What influences went into that court? What happened that they decided that this is the right way to go? Well, Roe versus Wade, even the woman who was part of that, who initiated that, has become a believer and turned to the Most High, and is against what she originally was part of to start the direction of murder against and infanticide against the children of the United States and really of the world. This is heinous in the sight of the Most High because it's the killing of innocents, and their innocent blood cries out to be atoned for. And there's been atonements made. There have been things that have occurred in which there have been massive deaths and problems caused by mankind or nature or situations that led to death. And it will get worse if we do not turn. And we're calling on them in the Grove that they may turn and turn to the Supreme Court and change that decision. It is better to save a life that could be a blessing to you than to lose one and lose that blessing. So as we go to the Grove, we need to think about what we really are and what we're really doing. Are we willing to die, literally, for your cause? Now, do you think the Bolsheviks and those who were fighting against them and starting a new government in 1917 were willing to die? Well, they took that stand. That's a stand they took. And many of them did die. And after the government was established under Stalin, many millions died, they said, under his very tyrannical rule. And Khrushchev brought an end to that, thankfully. I honor Khrushchev. He was a good man who made the difference to stand against Stalinism and did not continue it. And now, here we are. We're at a crux in the United States, to where we know where many people worldwide meet to decide maybe big decisions apart from the people's input on what's going to happen, leading to what I believe will be the formation and institutionalization of the New World Order. So, with Heart Talk and Mind, Body, Soul Productions run by Greg Fernandez, we wish to bring a light to this. July 13th, Saturday, 2019, I will join him remotely, and we will begin to talk about Bohemian Grove. We need to do some research. You know, we've been talking about it, but we're going to do some digging, and I have a little bit and learned how it started. It was really originally started by artists, musicians, actors, and those creative people. You know, so what happened? How did it become what it is today? Well, we hope to delve into that. And thanks to Greg Fernandez and his great work and his passion for reaching out for truth, that we will look at this and see if we can shine the light there. So, we wish to talk to you about things of the world, things strange in the United States. Aren't there a lot of strange things here? Well, television will show you that. The media today will show you that. Our newscasters definitely show you that. And we're here to talk about one particular area, Bohemian Grove. Oh, you've never heard of it? Bohemian Grove is a club in San Francisco in Union Square. They have a meeting spot called Bohemian Grove in Northern California in Monterey. Each year in July, a group of world leaders, leader industries, artists, actors, you name it. Those who are invited and those who are paying members who are invited to join, go there for about 2 to 3 weeks each year to meet together and discuss whatever is on their mind and hearts. And there are those that go remotely that don't show their faces that are members also. So, what is the reason many people protested? Well, we do know, based on really accurate information, that the Manhattan Project of World War II, which was the development of the atomic bomb, Oppenheimer and others who were at the Grove, made these decisions to pursue the development of this new strategically important weapon. And all weapons that came from that started there. And also, this leaked out to the Russians, and they started. And then it began to be nuclear proliferation, spreading throughout the world to now we have what we have today based on what? Bohemian Grove. Has this affected the world and people? You better believe it has, as you well know. And now we're at the point that, yes, Putin is thinking of pulling out of the agreement. Trump has kind of pulled back. Iraq and Iran, that's another one, is pulling back and enriching uranium. What is all this about? Well, where did this start? Oh yes, we were talking about Bohemian Grove. July 13th, Saturday, 2019, Greg and I'm going to go there remotely. I'm not going to be there physically, but Greg Fernandez Jr. will be there with many of his friends, looking into and inspecting those who arrive at the Grove. Of course, many come through the back way and do not make a grand entrance in the front. Some are bold enough to show that they do it. But we think that there's something askew there. Maybe not what we think. Maybe it's worse, maybe it isn't. But why don't they send a representative out and talk? I don't know, and maybe that's why they don't, because of what they do. But in any case, we will be there July 13th, Saturday. Won't you join us? And let's look together. And if you are a light for the Lamb and you feel called to do that because of the darkness that you believe and indicated there, you come along, because many believers will be there with you. who have felt called to bring light to this dark area. In fact, the Bohemian Grove by the Native Americans, I have heard, not vetted or verified, but they said it was, as I've heard by hearsay, a very dark place that they would not go because it was a dark and dangerous place for people to be. This is Walter Bradley of Heart Talk, one of the hosts of Heart Talk, and here is the word from the Most High. Father, now bless the reading and the glory of your word. This is coming from the Psalms, Psalms 14, or Tehillim 14 in the Hebrew. And it goes this way. The fool has said in his heart, there is no Yehovah, or Yadevave. They have done corruptly. They have done an abominable deed. There is no one who does good. Yehovah, look down from the heavens on the sons of mankind to see if there is a wise one seeking Yehovah. They have all turned aside. They have become filthy. They have together become filthy. No one is doing good, not even one. Have all the workers of wickedness no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread, and they do not call on Yehovah? There they are in great fear, for Yehovah is with the generation of the righteous. You would put to shame the counsel of the poor, but Yehovah is his refuge. Oh, that the deliverance of Israel would be given out of Zion. When Yehovah turns back the captivity of his people, let Yaakov rejoice, let Israel be glad. Let Israel be glad. That's the word Psalm 14 or Tehillim 14 regarding what the fool has said in his heart, that there is no creator, no who is and was and is to be the Almighty. They deny that. They say it does not exist, it is not true, and that those who believe it are crazy. Quite the contrary is they are far more lunatic on the other side with that, because he is almighty. Could you stand before a bear and fight and beat him? Probably not. Could you stand before a great white shark and destroy him just at your will and make him beg for food from you? You laugh. I do too. And what about an elephant? Can you enrage an elephant and tell him to shut up and stop it right now? No, but he can. He can calm the beasts. He can calm the wind. He can calm the storm. He can calm the sea. He can calm and conquer the people at will. It's an amazing person, but he's more than a person. He's so much more. We do not understand, nor do the angels understand, nor can we understand the immense power that is contained within his being, that he can speak and it occur. Nobody, nowhere can do that. Not Satan, not his angels. They can give the appearance of such, but the reality is that's a power they got from him, and he alone owns it. So, what am I talking about? Well, let's get back to the fool that said in his heart there is no God. There are some that will be going out July 13th, Saturday, 2019, to Bohemian Grove, part of the Bohemian Club in Union Square of San Francisco. These are world leaders, people of power, coming from the industries, from media, from stars, and those men that hold sway in music and so forth. Musicians, artists, and those with money, because it takes money to be in this club, and it takes power and influence to get invited to it. So that's the criteria, at least minimally as I see it. And we're going there July 13th, Saturday, 2019. Greg's going to go there physically. He's going to be in Monterey at Bohemian Grove Way, right before the gates of the Bohemian Grove, 2,700 acres of vast woodland. And we're going to be protesting what goes on there, what secret meetings that do lead to public policies around the world, not just the United States. And this is almost a collective deal of how to bring all of us subjected to What? Well, I believe that it's going to end up from, as I told Greg earlier, there's a stepping process. Right now, we're in the brave new world, where everybody's getting the pleasure out of living their life. But then, soon it's going to turn, and it's going to be 1984, where the government takes the reins, as they've done in many things. They've done it in steps, slowly stepping up, like, legislating that you have to wear your seatbelt and put on a helmet. Those were personal choices, and that the lives of the people in their own hands, that's a personal decision. But now, they've gone too far and legislating that. Is it good? Well, yes, but this leads further on to even greater reaches, to how to raise your kids, what they can do, what you can't do and do. And the power of the parent over the child is absolute. The power of the government over your child is not. And the thing is, the power they derive comes from the parents. And when they overstep the parents, they're overstepping the Creator, unless the parents are doing evil. Then they can step in and then make rectitude or rectify the situation. Okay, now my point. The point is, the Bohemian Grove, people meet and discuss law. They discuss all of these things, not in a good way, I think, but in the way that leads to unification of the world under a new world order, which is prophesied and talked about many years before they even thought of it in the Bible. And it is the destruction of the world, and it will bring great distress. And then the Father, by that, will bring greater distress by bringing the Nephilim of old, dragons, and all kinds of things that you just don't believe in, or maybe just think are fantasy, to the fore and reality, to the point that men's hearts fail because they see what's happening. But now, getting back to the focal point, which is Bohemian Grove, we're going there to protest and look, and ask that they send a representative out. Talk this over. Be gentlemen, as is the case. But maybe they don't consider us equals to that which is within the club. Maybe they consider themselves apart from us. Not above us so much, but in a place there for a reason, as we're all given a reason for our life. So, ours is to stand for the truth. I don't know what their stand is, but you can go find out with Greg Fernandez, July 13th, Saturday, 2019. I'll be there remotely as we broadcast the truth of Bohemian Grove. And if you want to inspect, you can look it up online, and if you're in San Francisco, you can visit at least where the club is in Union Square. So take a look at it there, and maybe take a look at what they're doing and what's behind it all. Well, that'll happen July 13th. If you would like, and go with Greg, or go yourself to Monte Rio, to Bohemian Grove Way, to the Bohemian Grove. We'll see you there. Don't be square, because somebody's going to round the edges. I'm going to read from him what he says to everybody. And listen, all who listen and hear, and who has an ear to hear and a heart to take. This is Tehillim or Tehillim 24 or Psalm 24. The earth belongs to Jehovah and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell in it. For he has founded it upon the seas, and upon the waters he does establish it. Who does go up into the mountain of Jehovah? And who does stand in his set-apart place? He who has innocent hands and a clean heart, who did not bring his life to naught, and who did not swear deceivingly. He receives a blessing from Jehovah, and righteousness from the Elohim of his deliverance. This is the generation of those who seek him, Yaakov, who seek your face, Selah. Lift up your heads, O you gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors, and let the sovereign of esteem come in. Who is this sovereign of esteem? Jehovah, strong and mighty, Jehovah, mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O you gates, even lift up, you everlasting doors, and let the sovereign of esteem come in. Who is this sovereign of esteem? Jehovah of hosts. He is the sovereign of esteem. Selah. Think about it. Who are they talking about? Because I know whom they speak of. The Son coming back in the victory of his sacrifice and ministry upon earth. And the gates opened and the doors were lifted up. And he came back in victory, and great victory. He had won. And he's still fighting, though, because his victory is not complete till he brings all his people in. The Savior of the Bible, who was the Son of the Most High, who came and was sacrificed at the hands of the Jews and the Romans and the people in Jerusalem at that time. So, Bohemian Grove is a representation in part of that kind of leadership. They lead the people. They seek to do good. And they seek to bring a little bit of gold down to the poor and keep a lot of it for themselves. This is the norm of earth. So, they also rule with an iron fist, but they don't make it look that way. They work it out in various ways. And where do they all meet? People from all over the world now meet in Bohemian Grove. This is unprecedented if you think about it. When did you have all the world leaders and representatives, or most of them, in the most powerful nations coming to one place to talk over things? And then to sacrifice the cremation of care to an owl, which represents Moloch. Woo! Not a good thing. And if you're against that or do not like it, hey, time to go and tell them and ask for what? Light. Come out and talk to us. Why do you do these things? And I'm sure that eventually somebody of great swelling and good word will come out and explain it well. But it will not make it right. But the point being that the Bohemian Grove was started by musicians and artists and authors that wanted to form a club. But I'd never heard what the purpose of it was, just by a consortium and group of artists that wanted to have a club and meet and greet and plan and decide things and make contribution to society. But what has it turned into? Well, many think, and it could be quite possibly true, that a lot of evil comes out of there since they worship a different one other than the true and living Elohim. So, we do protest that and ask them to turn and repent. But that is unlikely based on the words I see for today. For this time is a time of great tribulation. We are not in it totally, but it soon will begin making itself evident. But if you want to be part, and you want to be able to put your life on the line, because that's what you're doing, put your life on the line and go out and say you stand for the truth. With Greg Fernandez Jr., July 13th, Saturday, Monterey and Bohemian Grove Way. And then let your voice be heard. Let your knowledge be put forth. And share the light, if you're a believer, of the Most High. Or share the light of truth that you can confirm. Because that's what we're there to do. So won't you join us? Go to Bohemian Grove. Join us in Monterey, July 13th, 2019, with Greg Fernandez and all those who go there and make their voices and views known. It is a secret society that affects us all, so we should all be there and let them know we hear and know that they are there doing things and worshiping a wrong leader in Molech. Anyway, this is Walter Bradley of Heart Talk. Join us and let us see your light shine. Be us and join us at Bohemian Grove, July 13th, Saturday, 2019. Be there. Don't be square.